Puzzles and Plot Spoilers, Sweet Valley High Speed Chase, Books 1 to 5. 40 years ago, Sweet Valley High began with Book 1, Double Love, where we find out exactly what happens when identical twins are interested in the same guy, Todd Wilkins. Now, Liz likes Todd, Todd likes Liz, but Jess likes Todd, and that means trouble. Jessica's going to go to some extreme lengths to win Todd, even though they're not compatible, and she can't commit to a guy for more than 2 minutes. So I'm chalking this one up to pure old-fashioned sibling rivalry. Jess wants what she wants, and she wants to win. Now, even though she is trying really hard to win Todd, she sneaks out with Rick Andover and goes to Kelly's dive bar. Rick gets into a brawl. The place is raided by the police. A police officer with a daughter who goes to Sweet Valley High thinks that Jessica is Liz, so he drops her off at home and calls her Liz, and this is overheard by the biggest gossip in school. The next day, everyone thinks Liz has been with Rick Andover at Kelly's in a brawl, and Jessica just lets them, and she's pouring poison into Todd's ear, saying things like, oh, Liz is too wild, and I'm the safe bet, which we know is complete BS, but Todd's not really sure what's going on. Eventually, though, Rick Andover carjacks Jessica and Liz in the Fiat at knife point, and Todd rescues them, realizes that Jessica's been a great big liar. He and Liz end up in each other's arms, and it is the beginning of the core romance of Sweet Valley High, the birth of Todd and Liz, and we just relived it. Aww. Book 2, Secrets. Well, it turns out that Enid Rollins has not always been such a square. In fact, she used to be positively wild. Now, she can't afford for anyone to find out about her past as a juvenile delinquent except her trusty BFF Liz. But it's actually Jessica who is the scheming blabbermouth as usual, and Liz cops the blame as usual for Jessica blabbing to the entire school about Enid's past as a juvenile delinquent. Now, it turns out that news that Eenie Weenie was wild and had a drug problem and a boyfriend before him is just too much for her current beau Ronnie to deal with. And he drops her like she's hot in favour of Jessica, who is using him to become the queen of the dance. Now, when we get through all of this bedlam, Enid ends up with her former beau, George, another former wild child, and Jessica ends up queen of the dance, paired with the king, Winston Egbert, which is her idea of a nightmare, and I say, suck eggs for scheming, you witch. Now, this is how I always imagined Enid to look like when I was reading the books when I was growing up. And this is how I think Ronnie looks. Hey, that's Ronnie all over, isn't it? Book 3, Playing with Fire. Jessica starts acting like a complete Stepford wife when she starts dating Bruce the douche Patman, the richest brat in school. Now, her self-esteem starts taking the type of beating usually reserved for her twin Elizabeth, and it's positively awful to see her beaten down so badly by Bruce, but eventually she snaps out of his Svengali-like mind control and in a fit of passion stabs him to death. Just kidding, she pours a beverage on him, which topples him into a fountain because he is exactly that weak. This is what I think Bruce thinks he looks like. And this is how we see him. Pretty accurate. Book 4, Power Play. This is the first ugly duckling transformation story that we get in Sweet Valley High, but it will not be the last time that someone becomes miraculously popular simply by becoming drop dead gorgeous. So be warned. The dumpling is Robin Wilson, who would like to join this awful gang of bitches in this high school sorority led by Jessica. And Jessica is in charge of her hazing, by which I mean pledge trials. Now, she has Robbie running all over town, schlepping around, doing her menial errands. And she also has her play volleyball in a horribly skimpy bikini, even though Robbie is mortified. She's got body issues about being plus sized, and it's just horrible. And then she also has to get Bruce Patman to take her to the dance, and Bruce Patman is 50 shades of ghastly to her. But finally, Robbie flips her switch. She leaves school and she doesn't come back until she's good and hot. Swear to God, that's what happens. Book 5, All Night Long. Jessica has the hots for a serious creeper with a mustache. Check out the book cover. Ugh. Anyway, even though he scares her when he unties her bikini top when they're in the lake, she goes off alone with him into the woods and then freaks out when she's having trouble fending him off. He runs off in a foul mood and leaves her stranded in this cabin in the woods with wasted college students, and she's trapped there all night long. She doesn't come home. Liz is forced to cover for her, so she goes down pretending to be herself, and then she goes around the back, climbs up into the house and comes down as Jessica, which is fun. And she goes to school and she has to take a test. Both her and Jessica want to become tour guides for the summer holidays, and there's a test you have to pass. So she takes it as herself, and then she's stressing out and she takes it as Jessica, and fails it because she's so in a crisis about morality and also worrying about Jessica, and she's just coming to pieces. And then this teacher thinks, oh, I better give you a second chance to take this test, Jessica, because I could see you were clearly very unwell at the time. And so they skate by with everything, and we've learnt that twins are very exploitative, but it all works out in typical Sweet Valley fashion. Jess is safely home, and I hope we get to see some more of Liz passing herself off as Jessica in the future, because that was fun.